Hi, I'm Christine. Welcome to Keep Exploring Kids. On our channel, we are going to share some great videos that help families get together, get outside, and play. We're hoping that you'll join us as we do some story times, create some play experiences, and go on some family adventures together. My husband, my daughter, and I are in this all together, and we hope that your family will join us. If you like our videos, we hope that you'll give us a big thumbs up, hit subscribe, and of course, hit that bell notification so that you're notified every time we post a brand new video. Hey friends, it's Christine. Welcome back to Keep Exploring Kids. How's my hair looking? Because my daughter keeps coming and futzing with it. So today's story is Ada Twist Scientist. And at the end of the story, I want you to hang on because we're going to bring you a special activity.
An explosion!
At the end. Okay? Ada Twist Scientist by Andrea, Beaty, and illustrated by David Roberts. I love this story. Ada Twist Scientist.
Ada Marie said not a word till the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world, but not making a sound. She learned how to climb and made her big break. With a trail of chaos left in her wake, she ran through the day chasing each sound and sight and didn't slow down till she conked out at night. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's when it happened, when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and simply said, "Why? Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs up inside of your nose?" She started with why, and then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." Her parents kept up with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all the traits of a great scientist. Ada was busy that first day of spring, testing the sound that make mockingbirds sing, when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her to think. What is the source of that terrible stinking? Got her to thinking. What is the source of that terrible stinking? How does the nose know there's something to smell? And how does it stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She started at the start where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, both stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. Then zowie, the stink struck again. Just like that. Hypothesis 2, it's caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So young Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop!" Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now. By the time we count 3. Enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why? Ada questioned. Her mother said no. What? Ada queried. Her father said, go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think. She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. She sat all alone, all by herself in the hall, and Ada once more could say nothing at all. And so Ada sat, and she sat, and she sat, and she thought about science and Stu and the cat, and how her experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Are messes a problem? And while she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking, Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, then she asked 2. And each of those led her to 3 questions more, and some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why, and then what, how, and when. And at the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Her parents came down, and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway, and they just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair was now the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter as she sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, "We'll figure it out." And that's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and a heart that is true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asked lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. And as far as that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is a question. And someday, who knows?
Okay, friends, isn't this an awesome story? So, my friend Sydney has decided that we should do a science experiment today. If you give us just a second, we'll be back and we'll be all set up to do a science experiment with you. See you in a few. Ta-da.
Hello, I'm back. So, you might have heard me yell this earlier, but explosion. So, here I have some water, a spoon, a jar, an empty jar, baking powder, food coloring, and vinegar. And I'm going to make this jar, well, the things in the jar explode.
What are you doing to keep the mess contained?
Oh, we have it all on a baking sheet so that when it explodes over, because it is going to explode over, it does not get everywhere. So, first things first, take some water and just pour it into the cup until you got about that much left.
3/4 of the way.
Yeah, fancy words. Until it's a little over halfway full.
Okay.
Then we put food coloring in. This is blue. Put the 3 or 4 drops, not too excessive, and then stir it. That will make your water blue, coincidentally. Then, this is pink, but you could do pink or red. They're technically the same color. And this is going to make our colors change.
Ooh, I wonder what color it'll become.
So just do the same thing. And then stir it in. Now, the change might look like it turned to black because that's how dark it is. But if you actually look at it, it is now purple.
Show us closer, Sydney.
Ta-da, purple.
So wait, blue and red make purple?
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, and now for my favorite part. The explosionary process. Because we cannot make it explode just yet. It's just water. Nothing's going to happen.
So what do you need next?
So now we need baking soda. Now, I would put the spoon in there, but the spoon has food-colored water in it. So instead, either get yourself a clean spoon, or do what I'm doing if your parents will let you, which is just put some baking soda in your hand, and then just dump it in.
About how much?
Maybe a teaspoon?
Maybe a tablespoon.
Maybe a tablespoon. In that case. And then you want to stir that in. You want to make sure that's dissolved, which means that there shouldn't be any, baking soda you see if you lift up the jar. Nope. Looks pretty good. And then, for the kaboom. I hope you're ready. For this, you need vinegar.
Any kind of vinegar?
I don't know if it will work with other kinds, but distilled white vinegar will do the trick. And you probably have a bottle of this somewhere. Granted, it's probably not as big as this because my mom goes through an insane amount of vinegar. And make sure that it's in the middle of the tray too. And then, look, now it's purple and you can see it.
It's fizzing. Woohoo! See why we needed the tray? Can you move the baking powder so that it doesn't soak?
I could.
Good job, Sydney. Nope. You got the whole reaction. Good job.
And that is what I call an explosion.
So, what do you have to say to the kids about Ate or Twist?
Well, if you keep trying, you will probably get a good reaction.
Keep asking questions. Keep thinking about ways that things work in the world.
And keep exploring, kids.